Chosen one, you were once the stone they rejected, but that same stone has now become the cornerstone. They thought you were buried, but God was only planting you, and now, as the soil shifts, as the roots break through the earth, the very ones who laughed at your fall are trembling at your rise, because the tables have turned, and the silence of heaven was never abandonment, it was strategy. There's an old story about an eagle that dropped its prey in midair. The small animal thought it was free, celebrating its escape. But what it didn't see was that the eagle had released it only to gain a better position, to swoop down faster, stronger, and strike with precision. That's how God works in your life, chosen one. What looked like a loss was a divine repositioning. They called you weak when you went quiet. They whispered behind your back, saying you were finished. They saw your tears, your silence, your isolation, and thought that was defeat. But what they didn't understand is that divine stillness is not surrender. It's recalibration. God pulled you back not to break you, but to reload you. Every delay became a setup for an even greater release. Now the same mouths that mocked your silence are whispering again, but this time, in disbelief at how fast you've risen. They thought they buried you, but they didn't know you were a seed. Behind closed doors, they plotted. They smiled in public, but schemed in private. They thought their connections, gossip, or manipulation could cage your destiny. But chosen one, what they didn't realize is that every conversation against you became a curse reversed. Every lie they spoke was recorded in the spirit, and heaven responded, not with revenge, but with revelation. Now their own words echo back to them. The energy they sent out is returning multiplied. The very trap they set for you has become the pit they now sit in. And you didn't even have to fight. God fought for you while you rested. Now they see you smiling, but not because you got revenge. You're smiling because peace is your proof. You no longer react. You no longer chase. You simply rise. It confuses them. They wonder how you recovered so fast, how you still have favor, how doors open for you with no effort. But that's what divine favor does. It breaks logic. It breaks timelines. It breaks the control of those who once thought they held power over your path. Your silence became your strategy. Your grace became your weapon. And your healing became their haunting. The same audience that saw your pain is now witnessing your promotion. The same hands that tried to block you are now clapping for you, not by choice, but by conviction. See, chosen one, when God flips the script, He makes sure it's public, not for ego, but for evidence. Evidence that divine justice is real. The universe will always balance itself. Every shadow must bow to light. Every weapon formed must misfire when pointed at the anointed. Now, the very stage they tried to push you off has become your platform, and they're watching with disbelief, regret, and silence. You didn't have to destroy them. Your growth did. Your consistency, your peace, your refusal to break when everything fell apart. That's what convicted them more than any revenge ever could. You see, chosen one, your rise was never just for you. It was for them to see what divine favor truly looks like. God turned your pain into a prophecy, your rejection into redirection, and your downfall into a divine display. They thought they won, but heaven was writing the next chapter. Chosen one, remember this. When God flips the table, it's not to embarrass your enemies. It's to establish your purpose. You are not meant to fit in their plans. You were meant to outgrow them. The very eyes that watched your struggle are now witnessing your supernatural turnaround. Because the tables didn't just turn, they rotated in your favor. When they thought you were gone, they went searching. They tried to find someone else to carry your light, someone easier to control, someone who would bend where you refused to break. But what they didn't understand, chosen one, is that divine anointing can't be duplicated. They tried to copy your essence, your ideas, your energy, but imitations can't carry revelation. They can wear your style, but they can't hold your spirit. Now their false versions are collapsing. People can see through the pretense. The same audience that once doubted you now recognizes that you were the original. You didn't have to compete. You were chosen, not selected. And when God selects you, no substitute can take your seat. They cut you off, hoping the silence would starve your spirit. They walked away, thinking you'd beg for their presence, thinking your strength came from their validation. But the chosen one, God, isolated you on purpose, not to punish, but to purify. He needed to separate you from the noise so you could hear his next instruction. While they laughed in their circles, you found clarity in solitude. While they mocked your loneliness, you built inner peace that can't be shaken. Now, the same isolation they thought would crush you became your preparation ground. And they don't understand how someone who lost everyone still walks with so much power. They forgot you walk with heaven, and that's not loneliness, that's alignment. They saw your potential, but they never saw your resilience. They thought you'd quit after the first storm. They thought your heart was too soft, your hope too naive. But chosen one, storms don't break you, they baptize you. Every disappointment washed away your dependence on people. Every betrayal refined your discernment. Now, those who once laughed are watching in disbelief. They can't understand how the one they dismissed became the one destiny elevated. They underestimated your comeback, but heaven didn't. Your glow-up wasn't cosmetic, it was spiritual, and every new blessing you walk in now silently reminds them, you should have never doubted me. Once upon a time, their negativity used to drain you. You could feel it, the weight, the jealousy, the invisible attack. They tried to pull you down spiritually, using gossip, envy, and subtle manipulation. But somewhere along the way, your energy shifted. You stopped absorbing and started radiating. You stopped explaining yourself and started elevating yourself. Now, their words don't hit like before. Their energy can't even reach your frequency. Because you're not operating from pain anymore, you're operating from purpose. They're throwing stones at a fortress they can't see through. Because divine protection isn't loud, it's invisible and unbreakable. The old you would have clapped back. The old you would have sought revenge. But this version of you, you simply bless them and keep walking. That's what confuses them most. Your peace, your mercy, your refusal to return fire. Because now you understand something deeper. God's justice doesn't need your anger. He's already rewriting the story in front of them. And your forgiveness isn't weakness, it's proof of mastery. You've transcended the pettiness of their plots. You've outgrown the vibration of their hate. And now they're left wrestling with the truth. You're no longer who they hurt. You are evidence of divine transformation, living proof that grace wins every time. They thought time had erased what they did. They thought your silence meant forgetfulness. But divine timing is not denial, it's alignment. Chosen one, the universe never forgets energy. What they sowed in shadows has begun to bloom in daylight. Their finances, their peace, their reputation, all shaking, not because you wished it, but because heaven keeps balance. Now they're living inside the storms they once prayed over you. They're losing what they took for granted, because they touched what was sacred. And here's the part that stings them the most. You're not even celebrating their downfall. You've outgrown the need for revenge, because you already won. The moment you release them, it's haunting them. Your name, your face, your energy. They scroll online, and there you are. They drive past places you once shared, and memories hit harder than they expected. It's like the universe keeps replaying your spirit in front of their eyes. Because God won't let them forget what they mishandled. They remember your kindness, your loyalty, your light, all the things they dismissed. Now they crave what they once rejected, but can't access it anymore. Because when you were available, they were blind. And now that they see, you've ascended beyond their reach. Their punishment isn't your revenge. It's their realization. They once shut opportunities in your face. They used influence to block your path, thinking they could control what was meant for you. But chosen one, what's divinely assigned can't be denied. God simply rerouted you through a higher gate. Now, the doors they slammed in arrogance are reopening, not by their choice, but by divine command. They see you walking through blessings they can't comprehend. The same people who said, "You'll never make it," now have to watch you thrive in the very spaces they tried to keep you from. That's divine irony, when heaven uses your enemies as unintentional witnesses of your breakthrough. They believed you'd forever mourn them, that their absence would leave you broken. But you didn't just move on, you evolve. You stopped chasing closure because you realized closure isn't something people give, it's something God grants. They were not your downfall, they were your defining moment. Now they're beginning to understand. They weren't the blessing, you were. And losing you was the greatest spiritual consequence they could have faced. They thought you needed them to shine. But your glow didn't come from validation, it came from revelation. They were just temporary characters in a permanent prophecy. They're hustling harder now, trying to catch up, trying to recreate your peace, your purpose, your progress. But they can't, because what you have wasn't built through human effort, it was birthed through divine appointment. Chosen one, God's timing doesn't move by competition. It moves by calling. While they rush, you flow. While they chase, you attract. And that's what confuses them the most. You're not striving anymore, yet blessings keep multiplying. Because when heaven endorses you, earthly effort can't outpace grace. They're finally realizing, no matter how fast they move, they'll never overtake someone who's in divine rhythm. Every attack they sent bounced back. Every rumor lost its power. Every curse reversed itself midair. Because God has elevated you to a dimension they can't access. You've become untouchable, not because of pride, but because of protection. Your aura has changed. Your presence carries weight. You don't even have to speak. Your silence speaks authority now. And that's what terrifies them. They see you glowing differently, walking with quiet confidence. They don't understand it's not luck, it's covering. Heaven has placed a hedge around you. And those who once laughed are now whispering. Something about them feels different. Yes, that's divine insulation. At first, they mocked your faith. They said your hope was delusion, that your belief in divine purpose was naive. They laughed when you talked about destiny, rolled their eyes when you mentioned God's plan. But now, they're watching that same faith produce fruit. The prayers they ridiculed are now manifesting in your life, one blessing after another. They're secretly studying you, trying to understand how you made it through everything they thought would break you. They start repeating your words, your mindset, even your quiet strength. That's the power of divine redemption, when your transformation becomes their conviction. Without even knowing it, you've become the sermon they needed to hear. Your elevation is now evangelism, silent, undeniable, and pure. They once said, if God loved them, why are they suffering? They used your struggle as proof against your calling. But now your outcome has become heaven's rebuttal, because the same pain they pointed at became your platform. The same pit they mocked became your proof. Now, as you stand strong, shining, and centered, they can't explain it. Logic can't account for grace. Human plans can't replicate divine order. They're realizing you didn't survive by luck. You survived because God never left. And now they see that every battle you fought was really a testimony being built in real time. Their laughter was temporary. Your anointing is eternal. You don't post your pain anymore. You don't respond to rumors. You move differently, calm, grounded, unbothered. That stillness unnerves them, because it exposes what they lack, peace. They thought your peace would fade when you lost people, positions, or possessions. But instead, you gained something they can't manufacture. Inner stillness that only God can give. Your peace speaks louder than any revenge. It shows who truly won the battle. Because peace is proof of divine alignment. It's heaven's signature on your story. Now they can't even talk about you without feeling conviction. Your serenity has become their mirror. At first, they tried to minimize it. Oh, it's just luck. Oh, they just got help. But as your consistency continued, their excuses collapsed. Because your growth wasn't random, it was refined through warfare. Every promotion, every open door, every calm word, it all carries the weight of battles you fought in silence. Now, even those who swore they'd never give you credit are secretly admitting, you changed, you matured, you mastered yourself, you moved differently. They can't deny the fruit anymore, it's too visible, and that realization humbles them. Because while they gossiped, you grew. While they competed, you healed, and healing is the highest form of revenge. Now they're circling back, messaging, reaching out, testing the waters. Not because they've changed, but because you have. They see your glow, your confidence, your peace. They want to taste the light they once despised. But chosen one, discernment will tell you, this season isn't for reunion, it's for recognition. Recognition of who you've become, and remembrance of who they were. They walked away thinking they could replace your spirit, Now they're realizing that what you carried wasn't personality, it was presence. And though your heart is kind, you know this truth now. Not everyone deserves access to the new you that pain created. Chosen one, have you noticed lately, people stare a little longer? They don't know you, yet they feel something. It's not your outfit, not your words, it's your energy. That quiet radiance around you is the residue of everything you've survived. Heaven's fingerprints rest on you now. Strangers sense your peace before you even speak. Animals calm down around you. Children smile without knowing why. That's the mark of divine presence, the unseen glow that comes from walking through fire and not smelling like smoke. Even those who once doubted spirituality can't explain it. They just feel lighter around you, more hopeful, more awake. Because your very existence now preaches, without words, without effort. That's what it means to carry light. You illuminate just by being. Your life itself has become a message. Every new opportunity, every door that opens, it's no longer just success, it's confirmation. The car you drive, the peace you carry, the smile you wear, they all speak a spiritual language that says, God keeps his promises. And the irony? The same people who once gossiped about your pain are now taking notes of your progress. They're trying to study your method, but they'll never find a formula, because it wasn't a plan. It was a purpose. Every victory you walk in now is bigger than you. It's heaven showing the world that endurance still wins, that faith still works, that divine timing never fails. You are living prophecy, walking proof that no storm can cancel what's written. They can't shake you anymore. Not with gossip, not with shade, not with energy attacks, because you've reached a level of alignment where everything that isn't meant for you simply falls away. Rejection doesn't hurt, it redirects. Delays don't stress you, they strengthen you. And that level of peace frustrates your enemies more than any revenge ever could, because they feed on reaction and you've stopped giving them energy. Now, every time they try to test you, God responds instead. You no longer need to defend your name. Heaven does that for you. You are shielded by divine order, surrounded by favor, guarded by grace. You are untouchable, not by might, but by mission. They may not apologize out loud, but their tone has changed. There's hesitation now when they speak about you, a quiet awareness that they misjudged what they couldn't understand. They used to say you were too deep, too sensitive, too spiritual. Now they see that the very intuition they mocked was your protection all along. They see your discernment, your calm confidence, your accuracy, and they can't deny it anymore. Because when the things you once prophesied in pain start coming true, even skeptics have to bow to truth. They may not call you a prophet, but they'll call you wise. They may not say God is with them, but they'll whisper, something about them feels divine. And that's enough. Because heaven never needed their approval to validate your assignment. You could have fought dirty. You could have matched their energy, but you didn't. You stayed true, even when it cost you everything. And now, divine law is honoring that. Because integrity always comes back with interest. Opportunities are flowing effortlessly. Connections that once ignored you are now seeking you. Doors you didn't even knock on are swinging open, because honesty attracts what deception can't sustain. Chosen one, this is your karmic return, not in revenge, but in restoration. God saw every tear you cried when no one else did. And now, the blessings are arriving publicly, not to show off, but to show proof. Proof that staying kind in a cruel world is never in vain. Chosen one, you've reached a level where you no longer just enter rooms, you transform them. The moment you walk in, energy recalibrates, conversations soften, chaos quiets. People feel seen, grounded, and strangely safe. That's not a coincidence. That's anointing. It's the same divine frequency that once comforted you in darkness, now moving through you to comfort others. Your very aura carries peace that commands disorder to still itself. People don't know how to explain it. They just say, something feels different when you're here. That's because heaven now uses your presence as a vessel of order. You're no longer reacting to energy. You're regulating it. You've become a thermostat in a world full of thermometers. Wherever you go, light adjusts everything to match your vibration. People are confronted by themselves when they look at you. Your strength highlights their weakness. Your peace exposes their unrest. Your joy reveals their bitterness. It's not because you're trying to show them, it's because your light automatically reflects what they hide. That's why some people suddenly avoid you, even without conflict. Your presence is too honest, too revealing, too pure for their comfort zones. But don't dim yourself to make them feel safe. You were chosen to awaken, not to appease. You're not here to fit in, you're here to remind. To remind people of who they could be if they stopped running from the truth that already lives inside them. Your existence itself has become a mirror, and some people just aren't ready to look. Conversations with you linger in people's minds. Your words replay in their quiet moments. Even after you leave, your spirit stays. Because chosen one, your soul carries an activation code, one that wakes people up spiritually, even when they don't realize it. Someone hears your laughter and remembers joy is still possible. Someone reads your post and feels seen for the first time. Someone prays again because your story reminded them that miracles still happen. You're not just inspiring, you're igniting. Every time you speak the truth, it sparks something in dormant hearts. This is divine purpose at work. God using your healed scars to awaken sleeping souls. You don't need a title or a stage. Heaven has already crowned you an instrument of awakening. What was once misunderstood is now magnetic. The same uniqueness they mocked is now what draws crowds. Your authenticity has become your power. People are drawn to your calm voice, your honesty, and your balance. They don't even know why they trust you. They just feel something sacred in your presence. Because this is the season of divine visibility. When those who hid their gifts are suddenly called to the forefront. When those who suffered in private are now chosen to speak publicly. You are being seen, not for popularity, but for purpose, and every platform you step on now becomes a pulpit of truth. This isn't fame, this is fulfillment. The light in you was never meant to stay hidden, it was meant to guide. Your story, your pain, your healing, your breakthrough has become living proof. There's no debate, no doctrine, no argument needed. Your transformation is the testimony. The people who once questioned God because of your suffering are now believing because of your success. They've seen what human strength can't do. They've seen divine intervention. You are the answered prayer someone once prayed for proof. You are the living scripture that says, nothing is wasted. Your glow isn't just light, it's evidence. Every scar that once embarrassed you now shines as a symbol of grace. You're not perfect, but you're proof. Proof that faith still works, that love still heals, that God still moves. Chosen one, this is where your calling becomes undeniable. 4 years, you've walked through hidden seasons, stripped, refined, rebuilt. Every heartbreak, every loss, every lonely night was shaping you for this moment. Spiritual leadership. Not leadership by title, but by truth. You didn't climb through influence, you rose through integrity. And that's why heaven trusts you now, because you lead from authenticity, not ambition. People are starting to look to you for guidance, not because you seek followers, but because your walk inspires faith. You've become the blueprint for endurance, the living example of what obedience looks like when everything else falls apart. Your leadership isn't loud, it's steady. It's the quiet kind that builds people, not platforms, the kind that restores hope simply by standing tall in a world that keeps kneeling to fear. You recognize the look in their eyes, the exhaustion, the confusion, the silent prayers for strength. Because you've been there, that's why your words carry weight now. When you speak encouragement, it's not theory, it's testimony. Your advice doesn't come from knowledge, it comes from survival. You're no longer just healing for yourself, you're healing through yourself, for others. You're turning pain into guidance, lessons into light posts. And here's what makes it powerful. You're not trying to save anyone. You're simply showing them that if you could rise, so can they. That hope still breathes, even after heartbreak. That God still moves, even in silence. Your scars are now your syllabus, teaching souls how to find God in the fire. You remember what it felt like to have no one to search for understanding and only find judgment. That's why now you're creating spaces of safety, truth, and love. Whether through your voice, your art, your kindness, or your presence, you're building what once could have saved you. You're becoming the very light you once begged heaven to send. And that's not by accident. It's divine reciprocity. When you heal, you inherit the authority to help others do the same. And the universe responds by sending the same kind of souls who once reflected your pain, now drawn to your peace. You are no longer the seeker. You are the signpost. And what you're building now will outlive you, because it was born in truth, not ego. You're stepping into rooms you once only dreamed of. You're speaking where you once stayed silent. You're touching lives far beyond your circle, because when God enlarges your influence, He does it organically. No marketing can mimic divine magnetism. No strategy can outperform favor. People are being led to you without even knowing why. And that's how heaven expands territory, not through control, but through calling. Every new opportunity you receive isn't just for you, it's for the souls attached to your purpose. Your influence isn't a reward, it's a responsibility. And you carry it with humility because you remember the wilderness that made you wise. You've learned, when God expands your reach, He expects your heart to stay rooted. You no longer speak just to be heard. You speak to heal. Your words carry weight, not from ego, but from experience. There's authority in your tone now. Even your silence commands attention, because every syllable is wrapped in spiritual credibility, the kind that only comes from surviving storms most people would have drowned in. Your voice pierces darkness, breaks deception, and brings peace. You're not shouting, you're shifting. Every word you release now carries frequency, heaven's frequency. That's why people listen differently when you talk. They feel conviction, not condemnation. They feel truth, not pressure. You are a vessel now, language wrapped in light. Chosen one, this calling was never just about you. It was never just your pain, your rise, your redemption. It was preparation for something collective. You're beginning to sense it now, aren't you? That subtle knowing that there are others out there, people who speak your spiritual language without words. They've walked through similar fires. They've heard the same divine whispers. This is the generation of the awakened. Scattered souls who were once silenced are now finding each other, like stars reconnecting into constellations. You're not alone anymore. The same light that burns within you is flickering in others across the world. And together, you're forming a spiritual network heaven has been orchestrating for years. A movement of restoration, justice, and truth. You're not just a chosen one. You're part of a chosen collective. You've noticed the alignments lately. Random encounters, familiar strangers, conversations that feel prophetic. It's not a coincidence. It's coordination. Heaven is rearranging people around you, removing those who no longer fit your vibration, and sending those who do. These are soul-level partnerships, friendships, alliances, mentors, even strangers, carrying keys to your next chapter. Every person entering your life in this season carries purpose. Some will teach, some will build, some will heal alongside you. Because the chosen never rise alone, they rise in divine formation. And every connection God ordains multiplies impact. Pay attention, chosen one. The universe is no longer introducing you to people, it's introducing you to destiny allies. Your story has become a spark in hidden hearts. There are people quietly watching you, seeing your endurance, your peace, your faith, and something inside them is stirring. They may not comment, may not reach out, but your journey is watering their dry faith. Your resilience permits them to hope again. Your transparency gives them the courage to face their own shadows. That's how revival begins, not in churches or crowds, but in the quiet recognition that, if they can rise, so can I. You are the living proof that the chosen still exist. And every time you shine, another soul remembers who they are. You're not just walking in purpose, you're awakening purpose in others. Every movement needs anchors, people who stand tall when others waver. You are becoming that. You've been tested in every direction, emotionally, spiritually, financially, because heaven was fortifying your foundation. Now you can carry more, influence more, protect more. Your stability will become safety for others. Your clarity will become direction for the confused. Your courage will become fuel for the weary. You are no longer the one seeking shelter. You are the shelter. And the world needs that energy right now. You've become a spiritual pillar in this awakening, holding space for others to remember their divine identity. And that's not a burden, that's honor. You've seen darkness, up close and personal. You've faced betrayal, loss, heartbreak, and exhaustion. But through it all, you never lost your light, and that's the real miracle. Every shadow that tried to consume you only made your flame stronger. Every tear watered your purpose. Every ending gave birth to rebirth. Now, your life stands as a declaration. Darkness can't win against those who remember the light inside them. And that's why the enemy fears you now, because you've become untouchable by despair. You carry illumination wherever you go. You expose lies by existing in truth. You are not just surviving anymore, you are shining. And light doesn't apologize for being seen. Chosen one, the same people who once compared themselves to you are now quietly measuring their own progress against your life. Your consistency, your peace, your resilience, it's the new benchmark. They realize the energy they tried to replicate cannot be force. It cannot be fate. It is rooted in trials, faith, and divine alignment. You didn't just rise, you set a standard. And the universe confirms it every time your blessings multiply, every time doors open effortlessly, every time your calm radiates in chaos. Others may try to imitate, but they can't match the frequency of someone God fully empowers. They planned, schemed, and rushed, but you moved at divine rhythm. Every step you took was not in haste, but in harmony with heaven. While they stressed and competed, you rested and trusted. While they chased validation, you followed direction. Now, as the results appear, they're confused. How did you get so far while they were running in circles? Chosen one, your timing is untouchable because it is ordained. They may try to compare their pace to yours, but spiritual appointments cannot be expedited. The universe moves for those aligned with destiny, not desperation. Every chapter of your struggle, every tear shed in silence, every lonely night, now speaks louder than words. Those who doubt themselves, those who question God's timing, those who feel hopeless, your story reaches them. Your resurrection becomes a manifesto. Your perseverance becomes evidence. Your triumph becomes an argument that faith still works, that hope still breathes, and that divine timing is never wrong. You are no longer just a survivor. You are a living weapon against despair, proving that anyone willing to endure and trust can rise. The ones who were once too afraid to stand, speak, or shine are now watching you and feeling something stir within them. Your courage ignites their own. They may have walked through fire differently, but your victory shows them they, too, can emerge unscathed. Your boldness whispers, if they can do it, so can I. Every choice you make, every obstacle you overcome, every calm step you take in the midst of chaos becomes a guidepost for others. You are no longer just walking your path, you are illuminating theirs. Your life is proof that courage isn't born in comfort, it's forged in trials. Chosen one, fear no longer has dominion over you. The threats, the betrayals, the whispers, they no longer cause panic, hesitation, or doubt. You've been refined in fire, you've been tested in shadow, you've been sharpened in silence. Now, every obstacle is a mirror showing you how far you've already come. And the enemy realizes, nothing can stop you, because your faith is not temporary, your peace is not fragile, and your purpose is unstoppable. You walk in boldness, knowing that divine protection surrounds every step. Your heart beats with courage. Your presence radiates victory. Your life is untouchable. Chosen one, this is the moment heaven has been preparing you for. Every heartbreak was a refinement. Every betrayal was a revelation. Every delay was divine timing disguised as silence. You thought the enemy had the last word, but they never understood the language of resurrection. What they buried was a seed, not an ending. And now, what's rising from that soil is not the same version of you they tried to destroy. You've been crowned again, not with gold, but with glory. Not with applause, but with authority. Your crown isn't visible to the world's eye, but every demon recognizes it, and every storm bows before it. This is your season of divine reversal. The tables have turned, the balance has shifted, and heaven's justice is finally being revealed in your favor. Everything that was taken is being restored, not as it was, but as it was meant to be. So walk boldly, chosen one, not as the wounded survivor you once were, but as the divine warrior you were always becoming. Your presence is proof that God still defends His anointed. And as you rise, remember this: you were never fighting for victory, you were fighting from victory. You already won the moment you refused to quit. Now, if this message resonated with your spirit, if you know this word was meant for you, then don't just scroll away. Stand with this family of chosen ones by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Because every time you do, you're not just supporting a channel, you're strengthening a movement, a divine awakening of souls who refuse to let darkness define their story. You are light, you are called, you are chosen, and your crown has been returned. Amen.